Welcome to the Boomers, Bucks, and Bling podcast, where we turn retirement planning into a bit of a thrill ride. I'm your host, Carl Spiteri, and each week we'll dive into everything from reverse mortgages and staying put in style to Medicare, Social Security, and home safety. But wait, there's more. We're not just going to talk all about money and business. We're going to add some sparkle, some bling, as we chat with travel pros, party planners, and a lot of different topics that's going to help you make the most of your golden years. So grab a cup of tea or whatever it is you want to drink, get comfy, and let's make retirement planning an adventure of a lifetime.
Welcome to this week's edition of Boomers, Bucks, and Bling. We are privileged to have Fritzi Gros-Daillon online here with us, who's a aging in place specialist. I've known Fritzi for many years now, and we're just honored to have you on. So Fritzi, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Carl. That was lovely. And yes, we have known each other quite a while. So I'm Fritzi Gros-Daillon. My business here in California is Household Guardians, specializing in consulting with older adults, their family members on staying safely in their homes, and looking to do those things that we really need to pay attention to as soon as possible, get some things done for ourselves. But in addition to that, I am the Director of Education for Age Safe America. So I am a master instructor for National Home Builders. I teach the Certified Aging in Place Specialist designation course for them, and I do curriculum development on home safety fundamentals, certification course, grab bar training, aging in place essentials, and with Age Safe America. And we're hoping by the end of the year or Q1 to have our dementia safety specialist course as well.
Wow. Maybe we'll have you back on and just have you talk about that for a while. Once you get it up
absolutely.
and running.
I am, as you'll discover, Carl, I am happy to talk about such a range of topics that even on short notice, I'm happy to come back anytime.
Well, you're a wealth of information. I know that from knowing you over the years. So tell us a little bit about demographics. So we've all read stories, we all heard stories about the baby boomers and how we're getting old. But tell us specifically, what are the demographics we're dealing with here?
For us, we are finally at that tipping point where our baby boomers are now, the early ones are in their 70s already. And so that huge marketplace of possible consumers has now finally grabbed the attention of manufacturers, of product development folks, and certainly we see a lot of publicity about the changes in smart home and in age tech. So we're finally there. And the whole idea, for many years, we've been listening to 10,000 people turning 65 a day.
Yeah.
Okay. We're here. And as a group, as a baby boomer myself,
and here, yeah,
we have been told that there are milestones in our lives. So we've been told, depend on when you were born, this is your Social Security, this is your RMD date. You know, our lives have had these milestones laid out for us. And we are living longer. So the whole health span, wealth span discussion is a big one that's coming into the forefront. But the other piece of that is that now that we are already there, right, as a whole generation, we have never been told when to start to pay attention to our aging and to our homes, as we are choosing, in many cases, to continue to stay in the homes that we've had for a long time. Now, we know there's downsizing considerations. There are certainly health considerations that drive sometimes to move. The pandemic really highlighted the differentiation between congregate living in beautiful communities and the costs of that. So during the pandemic, right, people were eating on cardboard trays in their rooms for a year or longer without any of that socialization that you're paying thousands of dollars a month for. So multi-gen, right? So families are not looking at congregate living as an automatic choice. It's a great choice for some people, but more families are looking at the different ways to be able to live closer, right? The burgeoning ADU market here in California, Oregon,
Unbelievable, isn't it?
Washington.
Unbelievable.
It's, yeah. And so all of those pieces come into play. It's not a simple demographic. You were born in one year, I was born in another. These things are happening. But generationally, because there's no deadline that says this is when you should start to look at your house or to look at these situations, we're kind of in that bollocksed up middle place where we're the ones that have to decide we're ready to do the planning and take the steps that we need to take.
I know we're the first generation that we're planning for a 30-year retirement. So it's, generations prior to us didn't plan for 30 years out. So financially, we have to look 30 years in the future, and is the choices I'm making today, are they going to be right for me, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years from now? Because the reality is many times we're exceeding that 30 years. Right, the centennial birthdays are the largest growing birthdays in the population right now. So people are living into their hundreds, and so when you start planning for a 30-year retirement or a 30-year housing challenge, you got to think of it. And in my opinion, it's better to think of it before you need it than while it's happening. Right.
Right.
So that's kind of the reason for, I'm a big advocate of reverse mortgage. And that's the reason I say get a reverse mortgage. If you don't need a mortgage, it's part of your planning just in case. What you're talking about with the home is the same thing. Let's get the home ready just in case. So with that said, tell us about some home modifications, some ideas, some thoughts that people can implement now prior to, needing whatever it is they're going to need at some point.
Okay. Well, and I'd like to tie this into, depending on when you publish this, we are going into the holiday season.
Correct.
Right. So during that period of time, we also tend to have more visitors and more guests.
Right.
And so this is a chance for people to consider making some of these changes. And if you don't want to admit that you are making it for yourself, just think about the people who are going to be coming in and enjoying your home over the next 6 to 8 weeks. Right?
Good way to look at it. Yeah. And the holidays come every year. So even if you don't do it, if this doesn't work out time-wise, there'll be another 10, 11 months from now, there'll be another one coming up, right?
Right. And there's always, celebrations in the spring, think about it for Valentine's Day, right? So, all right. So to get directly to your point, one of the first things I would like your listeners to consider is kind of stepping back and looking at their home a little differently. So if you've lived in your home for a long time and you put your home on the market and your home is painted beige, right? And you've lived with it and you've decorated around it. You put your house up for sale and the real estate person says, oh, if you paint it grayish or whatever this color is, it just updates the look. So I'd like us to think about not seeing our homes the way we do every day when we come in and walk through the space, but to see it as if they were me. What are some of the things that I would look for? And then how does that translate into these improvements that you're talking about? So the very first is, how do we get into the house? Right? Do we have stairs? Have you checked the have you checked the railing? Is that steady? Do you have lights along the stairs themselves, right? Fabulous lighting products in all the big box stores, little lights on a ribbon, on a tape that you can put along the edge that are motion activated. So in addition to whatever holiday lights you have, put lights on the stairs and pretend it's the holidays year round, right? At the front door, do you have a dedicated light that's really over your door lock or door handle? And is this a good time to consider doing a levered door handle in lieu of a knob, or in lieu of those latch ones where you have to push your thumb down, right? That's mine, and it gets stuck unless I turn the latch thing to the left. I've made other changes to my home, but not the door handle yet. But the little bench by the front door, put our stuff down, unlock the house, go in. Because right at that entranceway, that's where, even though we've been coming in and out, we can trip right there. You know, is the doormat non-slip in front of the door? We're going to change out our doormats, as you know, is that non-slip? And the reason that I mention it, it's not just like coming in at night and needing the light, but when we go out during the daytime and we step from a home that's darker into the bright light of the sunshine, our eyes take a little bit to adjust. The same way we're concerned about tripping hazards in lots of places, we need to give our bodies time to adjust to that change from a darker space to that bright space. And that's why that rug is so important at the doorway.
Huh. I never would have thought of that. Yeah. But it's true.
Yeah. And it's the same way stepping in, right? We step in, there's frequently a rug on the inside, some place to wipe off our feet. Keeping that whole entryway clear. If we remove our shoes, let's designate a basket for it, or a little bench or something right there, so that's also keeps the clutter out of that space. And so that's just one place to start. But before we actually get back to the house, I'm going to take us back outside again before we came up and went in the front door. Let's outside. Where's the trash? Do we have lights on our way to the trash and the recycle bin? Is that pathway clear? Right. Inside our garage, for example, many of us have an automatic garage door opener.
Yeah.
Right. With that plastic box up over the top that's got 2 light bulbs in it. And then in the garage, we have a single socket with a light bulb in it. Okay, get a tri-light. You screw it into the single socket, and it's 3 little wings of LED lights. It changes it maximizes how much light you've got in the garage space. It's still one switch, it's still one socket, but with that whole LED, these little lights, $25, Carl.
And it just increases the lighting in the garage to help you avoid trip and falls.
Absolutely. And if you've got a workshop area and you've got one of those single sockets, same thing, put one there. It's astonishing, these simple things that we need to take the time to go and do them.
So lighting is very, very important.
It's the same way. Absolutely.
I didn't mean to cut you off. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but that's a segue to going back now into the house and looking at other places that we can add lighting. So the same idea, like the tape lighting, it can go along the toe kick of your kitchen cabinet, and they can be motion sensor. If someone goes out to the kitchen at night, the little light underneath the cabinet will come on. Go under the vanity in the bathroom, right, along a hallway. Another really popular little light are the plug-in lights that are dusk to dawn. So when it gets dim, the little light comes on, hallways, bathrooms, any room, this little dusk to dawn. And then, when the light's bright, the little light doesn't come on at all. But when it's dim at all, it gives us that extra light.
And
When
they're highly efficient, so they're not like you're going to run up your electric bill by using them or anything.
No, and they're in I'm not suggesting some huge chandelier expense here.
Mm-hmm.
It's the practical items that really can just enhance the livability, the enjoyment. When we are 70, we need 30% more light than we do when we are 30
No kidding.
to see the same with the same ability here. And as we age, even if we have no vision problems at all, we do lose some peripheral vision. So by the time we're 75, we've lost at least 15 degrees of personal vision on either side of our eyes. So we're walking around unknowingly with little blind spots. The same way there's a blind spot on your car where sometimes you just don't catch a glimpse of that car that's right on the side of you, right? Unless you've got those fancy mirrors with the little yellow things that light up. There's a car in your blind spot.
Yeah.
But because all of us develop essentially that blind spot, then for us to be able to see, we've got to be able to really turn our heads. We've got to really be able to actively participate in looking at what we want to see. And that's another reason that lighting can be such an enhancement for us.
Wow. Boy, things that the two topics you've covered, which I thought I was pretty well versed on this stuff, and I never would have thought of both of them. Wow, keep going. Yeah. What other little tips and enhancements can you make to our lives?
All right. We're going to stay with lighting for a little bit more too. So sometimes folks have table lamps in their living room, for example, right? They've got a big overhead lamp, but table lamps that they like to use. And the idea of adding a motion sensor light, I just don't want to add it to the look of my living room. All right. So you switch out the regular light bulb for a motion sensor bulb.
And they have those at like the big box stores. Those are readily available.
Okay. Yeah. So your table lamp goes on, right? You see it, you turn your light on, and you're good. Another safety light, and this one's made by Sunbeam, plugs into the wall, and it's a motion sensor light, and it also changes colors. I don't think that's really relevant, but it's a motion sensor light. When the power goes off, so if you have an outage, which I just recently have had again, that little light that plugs into the wall lights up. And you can see it, right? So you can go over, you unplug it, and it's got a switch. And because there's a battery inside that's been charging while it was plugged in, it's a flashlight. So your house is dark. This little light lights up and says, I'm your flashlight. Come find me.
Wow.
Safety feature, right?
And power outages, again, happen all the time. It's amazing how frequently they become.
Right. And so having, also if you have stairs, especially down to a basement area, and I know we don't have as many basements in Southern California as we certainly did in the East when I lived there, but any of those areas that would be dark if we were to enter them, as not just the house itself, because at the house, we've got windows, if we have a power outage and there's any light at all, we can get around. But making sure that we do have lights at the tops and bottoms of stairs, especially basement stairs. Even if somebody wants to just duct tape the flashlight to the wall, but making sure that we do have that ready to go. Wow.
Any other lighting? I guess we'll stick with the lighting tip. Any other lighting thoughts before we go to another subject?
Well, I think pretty much the task lighting in the kitchen, like the under cabinet lights. Lots of us have those already. If you don't, um, consider adding those as well.
Okay.
But I just I want to just go back to the whole idea that I'm asking your listeners to look at these things as if they were fresh, right? I'm not shaking my finger at anybody and saying, you don't have this or you don't have that. But this is a chance, especially if you're going to have people visiting you any time of the year, right? You want it to be as safe for everyone as possible.
Mm-hmm. Well, the reality is we're all going to get older, right? We're all getting older one day, every single day that we're here, right? So putting it off, it doesn't really matter. You might as well do it now while you're thinking about it, as opposed to putting off, because eventually you're going to lose 30% of your peripheral vision. You're going to lose whatever. The aging process we all age progressively, right? So putting it off, I guess, doesn't make much sense in my opinion. But so tell me, so you are a certified aging in place specialist. So I assume that we should take what you say as absolute, right? Because you're certified. Well, what did you do to get certified?
Well, the certification is a course that is offered by the National Association of Home Builders. And that is the course that now I am a master instructor in.
Okay.
So
you teach home builders what to do for building aging in place homes.
I teach some builders. I teach remodelers, designers, occupational therapists, physical therapists, real estate professionals, architects. I've had 2 attorneys take the class, a whole range of professionals who want to learn more about ways to look at the market of folks who are aging, because the largest percentage, 70% of us, don't have any major health concerns.
Right.
And there's a small percentage of us who have had a traumatic event, like a heart attack or a stroke, or been in an accident, or even had a fall that was injured. We were injured in a fall. And then there's a segment of our population who are dealing with some chronic conditions, like diabetes and some of those other conditions that are progressive in nature. And so the coursework talks about the different segments of the market, because our population is heterogeneous, right? We've got all kinds of different conditions. And then what are the modifications to the specific areas in the home that would best serve everyone? That's the universal design space, really. And the idea that, for example, in our kitchens, right, many of us have cabinets, right? And you open the cabinet door and there's just a big shelf, the whole depth of the cabinet, and we try to carefully put things in that cabinet so that we can get to them. But if we were to install the pullouts, right, then the pullout accessory, the drawer that really goes inside the cabinet, gives us access to everything that we have there.
So
and in many of our kitchens,
you bending down and going to it,
right, and many of our kitchens, we have that corner where 2 sets of cabinets meet, that dark rectangular corner.
That thing,
right. And years ago, the most popular way to deal with that was with a lazy Susan, right? You'd put that in there so the things would go around, you could find them. Okay, but things always fall off. And until you move, you don't ever really find those things that are way in the way back because you haven't seen them on the spinning lazy Susan for years. So again, there's a number of shelf companies like Rev-A-Shelf and Shelf Genie, and they make these accessories now that allow us to be able to more fully access all the storage that we have underneath. So
Wow.
that it just makes it easier for everyone. Pantry systems, and I'm going to hop back to lighting.
Okay.
You
All
can
right.
even get lights that light up in the drawer. When you pull the drawer open, the little light will light up, and you can get lights inside the cabinets as well. Or you put a little motion sensor inside the cabinet. So when you, even if you open your linen your linen cabinet, right? And you've got sheets and towels and whatever else stacked in there, right? Put a little motion sensor light in there. When you open it up, at least you can see what you've got.
Wow.
So
I would imagine we can do 3 hours with you, and I probably wouldn't even have to say much and just let you go. I appreciate it. I mean, this is like one of the easiest interviews I've ever had to do. You're so well versed in what you know. If people wanted more information, where can they get resources in their own community to get more information, or reach out to you, or what obviously you know a lot. We're going to have you back on. I know that. So
okay. Well, I mean, I'm welcome to take questions. My email address is fritzi@householdguardians.com or Fritzi@AgeSafe America. Actually, the AgeSafe America website has lots of home safety tips. We have blogs with some specific information as well. So if someone does, for example, have a hearing challenge, there are some specific things that we could talk about that would make that part easier. And there's a lot of very specific home safety recommendations that go across the board. So that particular website is a good one as well.
So it's Safe America.
Right.
HSAFE America.com.
Yes, AGESAFE America.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's another place to get information. Locally in the San Diego area, there are a number of folks who are trained on this evaluation of the home. I actually have mentored a number of folks.
I was going to say, you've trained a lot of them. I know. So.
Yeah. And so again, if someone is looking for some of those resources, I would also expect that the Live Well San Diego website might also have some more home safety tips. Certainly AARP.org. They have a home safety guide and a good checklist there too. And there's a very active group in the San Diego area doing events all the time. I had a chance to be a speaker with them a number of times, and I actually teach their online home safety program.
Well, Fritzi, we usually try to keep these to about 20 minutes or so. So believe it or not, it's been that time already. I can't thank you enough for coming on, and I'd love to have you back at some point when you can find it in your schedule. But the tips were incredible, and I just can't thank you enough. So enjoy the rest of your day.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure, Carl. Thank you for the invitation. I'm delighted to be here.
All right, bye-bye. Well, this was another Boomers, Bucks, and Bling podcast. I hope you enjoyed it, and we invite you to join us as many times as you can. Thank you.
The content of this podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It does not constitute financial, legal, or professional advice. You should not rely solely on the information presented here to make any decisions. We recommend seeking the guidance of a qualified professional for any specific situation. Arc Latex Financial Services, LLC, NMLS number 2143. Its hosts and guests cannot be held liable for any losses, damages, or other negative consequences arising from your use of the information presented in this podcast. For license information, visit www.nmlsconsumeraccess.org. Equal housing opportunity.